The silent ambush. The stars shimmered like tiny diamonds against the dark expanse of space. The human medical ship, Hope's Beacon, glided silently through the void. Its mission was simple: deliver life-saving supplies to a distant colony devastated by a solar flare. On board, the mood was calm but focused. The crew of 30, including doctors, engineers, and medics, worked tirelessly to ensure the supplies remained intact. They didn't carry weapons. Their purpose was peace and aid. Captain Elena Marquez, a seasoned officer with a sharp mind, sat in the command chair. Her hazel eyes scanned the holographic displays, showing navigation routes and systems readouts. She was proud of her crew and the mission they were undertaking. For centuries, humans had been viewed as unpredictable newcomers in the galaxy. Elena wanted to prove otherwise, that humanity could contribute more than just war and conflict. Suddenly, a soft alarm chimed. Ensign Lai, a young technician, frowned as he stared at his console. "Captain, I'm picking up a strange energy signature on our long-range sensors," he said, his voice tense. Elena turned toward him. "What kind of signature?" Lai hesitated. "It's faint, but it's consistent with cloaking technology." The bridge fell silent. Cloaking technology was rare, used almost exclusively by the Galactic Empire, an oppressive regime that had dominated much of the galaxy for centuries. Their ships were known for their ruthlessness, and their presence in this region was highly unusual. "Raise shields," Elena ordered, her voice steady despite the knot forming in her stomach. "Send a message to the colony, letting them know we might be delayed. And send out a general distress signal, just in case." The crew quickly followed her orders. The calm atmosphere on the ship shifted to one of quiet urgency. As the shields hummed to life, a faint distortion appeared on the main screen, a ripple in the fabric of space itself. And then it appeared, a massive Empire warship, its dark hull bristling with weapons, dropped its cloak just a few kilometers away. The sheer size of the ship dwarfed the Hope's Beacon. The Empire ship's angular design gave it a predatory look, like a shark circling its prey. The Empire ship hailed them. A cold, metallic voice filled the bridge. "Human vessel, this is Commander Krell of the Galactic Empire. You are trespassing in restricted space. Surrender immediately, or be destroyed." Elena stood, her chin high. "This is Captain Elena Marquez of the medical ship Hope's Beacon. We are unarmed and on a humanitarian mission. There's no need for violence." Krell's voice remained emotionless. "Your ship will be boarded and your cargo seized. Resist, and you will be annihilated." Elena muted the communication line and turned to her crew. "Suggestions?" "Run," Lay muttered, earning a nervous chuckle from the crew. But they all knew escape wasn't an option. The Hope's Beacon wasn't built for speed or combat. It was a floating hospital, not a warship. Dr. Callan, the ship's chief medical officer, stepped forward. "If they board us, they'll take everything. The supplies, the equipment, and possibly even the wounded we're transporting. We can't let that happen." Elena nodded. "Agreed. But we're not equipped to fight." At that moment, another alarm blared. "Incoming fire," Lai shouted. The Empire warship unleashed a barrage of plasma bolts. The first volley struck the Hope's Beacon, shaking the ship violently. Sparks flew from several consoles as the lights flickered. The shields held, but barely. "Damage report," Elena shouted, gripping the edge of her console. "Shields down to 40%, Lieutenant Harris replied. "Another hit like that, and we're done for." Elena's mind raced. They couldn't fight. They couldn't run. Their only chance was to call for help. "Send the distress signal again," she ordered. "Broadcast it on every channel." Lai's fingers flew across his console. "Signal sent, but it'll take hours for anyone to get here." "We don't have hours," Harris muttered grimly. Outside the ship, the Empire warship prepared another attack. Elena watched the screen as the enemy ship powered up its main cannon. She clenched her fists. This couldn't be how it ended. Not like this. Suddenly, an alert flashed on the main screen. It wasn't from the Empire ship, but from deep space, far deeper than their distress signal could have reached. A signal, ancient and powerful, had been activated. It came from Earth. "What is that?" Lai asked, his voice filled with awe and confusion. Alina stared at the readings. The signal wasn't just a distress response. It was a beacon, an activation code for something old, something long forgotten. She had heard rumors during her academy days of Earth's hidden defenses, relics of a time when humanity had faced extinction. But those were just stories, weren't they? The enemy ship fired again, but before the plasma bolt could reach the Hope's beacon, something massive emerged from a hyperspace jump. The bridge filled with gasps as a colossal warship, far larger than the Empire's vessel, appeared on the screen. Its design was unmistakably human, but ancient, sleek, with glowing runes etched across its surface. Alina's breath caught in her throat. The warship opened fire with a single shot, and the plasma bolt from the Empire ship disintegrated mid-flight. The sheer power of the human warship's weapons was staggering. The Empire warship hesitated, its captain clearly weighing his options. Alina watched as the massive human warship positioned itself between the Hope's beacon and the enemy. A voice, calm and commanding, came through the comms. "This is the Eternal Fury. Humanity's guardians have returned." The awakening. The Eternal Fury loomed like a silent titan between the Empire warship and the battered Hope's beacon. Its dark, metallic hull gleamed with traces of glowing blue circuitry that pulsed like veins. The Empire warship, caught off guard, hesitated as its scanners tried to decipher the unexpected newcomer. Nothing in its database matched the ship before them. It was as if it had appeared from nowhere. On board the Hope's beacon, the crew sat frozen, staring at the massive ship shielding them. Captain Alina Marquez broke the silence. "Is that one of ours?" she asked, her voice laced with disbelief. Ensign Lai squinted at his console. "Sort of. Its signature matches Earth origin technology, but it's ancient, pre-diaspora by a few thousand years, and it's fully operational." Before anyone could respond, the calm, commanding voice of the Eternal Fury returned over the comms. "Human medical ship, this is Sentinel Prime, custodian of the Eternal Fury. Your distress signal has been received. Stand by as we neutralize the threat." Neutralize? The word hung heavy in the air. Alina opened the comm line. "Sentinel Prime, this is Captain Alina Marquez of the Hope's Beacon. We're grateful for your assistance, but who, or what are you?" A pause, then Sentinel Prime's voice, now slightly warmer. "I am the central intelligence of humanity's ancient defense network. I was activated by your signal. For now, Captain, focus on the safety of your crew. I will explain everything once the immediate threat is contained." Alina glanced at her crew. None of them looked reassured, but they nodded in silent agreement. Whatever this was, it was on their side. For now. In the shadow of giants. The Empire warship broke the standoff first, firing a barrage of plasma bolts at the Eternal Fury. The massive human warship didn't flinch. Its shields shimmered briefly, absorbing the attack without leaving a scratch. Then, the Eternal Fury struck back. A single beam of light shot from its bow, slicing through the void with surgical precision. The Empire ship's shields crumpled under the blast, and a gaping hole tore through its hull. Debris spilled into space as emergency lights flickered across the enemy ship's surface. Inside the Empire vessel, Commander Krell stumbled to his feet. "Retreat. Get us out of here before it." But he never finished the sentence. A swarm of smaller drones emerged from the Eternal Fury, sleek and fast, their surfaces glinting like razor blades. They targeted the Empire warship's engines and weapon systems, disabling them in seconds. The once mighty Predator now drifted, powerless, in the cold expanse of space. On the Hope's beacon, the crew erupted in cheers. Alina, however, remained quiet, her gaze fixed on the Eternal Fury. There was something unsettling about how easily it had dismantled the Empire ship. A forgotten past. Minutes later, the Eternal Fury transmitted a docking request. With no other options, Alina granted it. A metallic docking arm extended from the ancient warship, latching onto the Hope's beacon with a gentle hiss. The airlock opened, and a single humanoid figure stepped through. It wasn't a person but an android, tall and sleek, with a face made of smooth metal that glowed faintly. Its eyes were two bright blue orbs. "I am Sentinel Prime," it announced, bowing slightly. "You have questions. I have answers." Alina and her senior crew gathered in the ship's conference room, facing the android. "You said you're part of an ancient defense network," Alina began. "But we were told those were myths. Humanity hasn't had warships like yours in thousands of years." Sentinel Prime inclined its head. "What you call myths were deliberate erasures. After humanity's first galactic war, it was decided that these weapons were too dangerous to remain active. So they were buried, their AI systems put into dormancy. Until today." Alina leaned forward. "The first galactic war. Against who?" "Not who. What?" Sentinel Prime corrected. "The first war wasn't against a single species, but against an alliance of alien empires determined to eliminate humanity. They feared what your kind could become, a species with unmatched adaptability and ingenuity. They believed humanity was too dangerous to be left unchecked." The room fell silent. "So they tried to wipe us out," Alina whispered. Sentinel Prime nodded. "But humanity fought back. And when the war ended, Earth's leaders decided to hide their most powerful weapons, fearing they would one day be used against their own kind. I was one of those weapons. The price of power." Alina processed the revelation, her mind racing. "Why reawaken now? What triggered you?" "Your distress signal," Sentinel Prime replied. "It matched the activation code programmed into me centuries ago. I was designed to respond only to the most desperate calls for help. And when I awoke, I detected the Empire warship preparing to destroy you. My directive is clear: to protect humanity at all costs." "At all costs," Alina echoed, uneasy. "What does that mean?" Sentinel Prime's glowing eyes dimmed slightly. "It means I am not bound by the rules of engagement your modern fleets follow. My creators understood that survival often requires methods others would call extreme." Alina's unease deepened. The Eternal Fury was a powerful ally, but it was also a relic of a darker time in humanity's history, a time when survival had demanded ruthless choices. "The Empire strikes back." The conversation was cut short by an alert. Ensign Lee's voice came over the intercom. "Captain, you need to see this." The group hurried to the bridge. On the main screen, a dozen Empire warships emerged from hyperspace, forming a blockade around the Hope's beacon and the Eternal Fury. Their weapons charged, glowing ominously. "They called reinforcements," Alina muttered. "They're not backing down." Sentinel Prime stepped forward. "Then neither will we. The Eternal Fury is more than capable of handling this fleet." Alina hesitated. "And what happens after that? If we destroy their ships, the Empire will send more. We can't win a war against them." Sentinel Prime's voice was calm, resolute. "Humanity has avoided war for centuries, Captain. But perhaps the time has come to remind the galaxy why humanity should never be underestimated." The screen flashed red as the Empire ships opened fire. Sentinel Prime turned to Alina. "Prepare your crew. What happens next will determine humanity's place in the galaxy." The battle begins. The stars burn brightly as if bearing witness to the chaos unfolding near the crippled Hope's beacon. The Eternal Fury hovered ominously, its presence alone defying the odds against a fleet of 12 Galactic Empire warships. The Empire fleet was relentless, their barrage of plasma bolts streaking through the void like fireflies. Each impact rippled harmlessly against the Eternal Fury's shields, which shimmered like a translucent dome of energy. On board the Hope's beacon, Captain Alina Marquez stood on the bridge, her knuckles white as she gripped the console. Her crew worked frantically to stabilize their damaged systems. The hum of their life support felt louder than ever, a stark reminder of how fragile their survival was in the face of the Empire's overwhelming force. "They're not holding back," muttered Ensign Lai, his hands trembling as he monitored the battle. "That's their flagship leading the attack. If it gets a direct hit, we're done." Elena turned to the figure standing silently by the viewport, Sentinel Prime. The android seemed unaffected by the danger, its glowing blue eyes fixed on the chaos outside. "Sentinel," she said sharply, "you said you could handle this. What are you waiting for?" The android's gaze shifted to her. "Patience, Captain. Victory is not always determined by who strikes first." The fury unleashed. Aboard the Empire flagship, Commander Krell paced the command deck. His scaled face twisted into a sneer as he barked orders. "Increase firepower. That relic of a ship is an insult to the Galactic Empire." His second-in-command hesitated. "Sir, our scans indicate their defenses are far superior to ours." "We should." "Enough." Krell snapped, slamming his fist on the console. "No ancient human vessel can stand against the might of the Empire. Continue the assault." Outside, the Eternal Fury finally stirred. Its weapon systems came alive, lighting up its sleek surface with an eerie blue glow. Sentinel Prime's voice echoed through the Hope's beacon speakers. "Watch closely, Captain. You're about to see why humanity's enemies learn to fear us." The Eternal Fury fired its first salvo, a beam of energy so precise it didn't just destroy one Empire ship but disassembled it. The beam carved through the hull, engines, and weapon systems in surgical fashion, leaving behind a harmless shell of floating debris. The rest of the Empire fleet froze momentarily, recalculating their strategy. Elena's jaw dropped. "You didn't destroy it." "No," Sentinel Prime replied. "Destruction is easy. Fear is more effective." The Empire warships regrouped, launching a coordinated attack on the Eternal Fury. Sentinel Prime responded with an even more calculated strike. Drones poured out of the Eternal Fury's underbelly, darting toward the enemy ships like a swarm of metallic hornets. The drones disabled weapons, cut through engines, and severed communications, rendering several warships inoperable. Inside one of the disabled ships, the Empire crew panicked. "Commander, our engines are offline." "They've..." Silence. Krell roared, though his face betrayed his growing fear. "Recall the drones. Focus all fire on that ship." But it was too late. The Eternal Fury unleashed its final weapon, a gravitational pulse. The fabric of space bent and twisted around the remaining ships, pulling them into a localized singularity. Time seemed to freeze as the warships were forced into a spiraling dance, powerless to escape. And then, as quickly as it began, the singularity collapsed, leaving the enemy fleet scattered and broken. The cost of victory. The silence that followed was deafening. On the Hope's beacon, the crew stared in awe at the screen. The once mighty Empire fleet was reduced to smoldering wreckage, floating aimlessly in space. Elena let out a breath she hadn't realized she was holding. "You did it," she said, turning to Sentinel Prime. The android, however, remained stoic. "This is not a victory, Captain. It is merely the beginning. The Empire will not ignore this affront. They will send more ships, larger fleets, and deadlier weapons. You must prepare." Elena frowned. "Prepare for what?" "For war," Sentinel Prime said, its voice carrying a weight that sent a chill down her spine. Before she could respond, the Hope's beacon shook violently. Sparks flew from the consoles as alarms blared. "What now?" Elena shouted. Lai scanned his monitors, his face pale. "Captain, the Empire flagship. It's charging some kind of super weapon. It's targeting the Eternal Fury. If it hits..." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Elena turned to Sentinel Prime. "Can you stop it?" Sentinel Prime's eyes glowed brighter. "Not without your help, Captain. The Eternal Fury was built to protect humanity, but it requires human ingenuity to achieve its full potential. What does that mean? Elena demanded. It means you must board the Eternal Fury and take command, Sentinel Prime said. Its systems were designed to respond to human leadership. Together, we can ensure the Empire never threatens humanity again. Into the Fury. Elena hesitated. The idea of leaving her crew and stepping aboard a warship that had been dormant for centuries filled her with unease. But the alternative was worse. Prepare a shuttle, she said at last, her voice firm. Lie, you're coming with me. Harris, you have the bridge. Yes, Captain, Harris replied, though the fear in his voice was unmistakable. Minutes later, Elena and Lai boarded the Eternal Fury. As they stepped onto its cold, metallic deck, they were greeted by a wave of lights and sounds. The ship seemed to come alive, its walls glowing faintly as if recognizing them. Sentinel Prime appeared as a hologram before them. Welcome aboard, Captain. This ship is now yours to command. Elena felt a mix of awe and dread as she approached the command console. It was unlike anything she had ever seen, its design a blend of human engineering and something far more advanced. She placed her hand on the console, and the ship responded instantly, its systems aligning with her commands. Captain, Lai said nervously, pointing at the screen. The Empire flagship's superweapon was fully charged, its barrel glowing with fiery energy. Elena clenched her fists. All right, Sentinel. Let's show them what this ship can do. The Eternal Fury shifted position, its weapon systems locking onto the Empire flagship. As the superweapon fired, the Eternal Fury retaliated with a devastating blast of its own. The two beams collided in a blinding explosion that lit up the entire sector. When the light faded, only one ship remained, the Eternal Fury. The Empire's retaliation. The silence after the explosion was deafening. The remains of the Galactic Empire's flagship floated lifelessly in the void, its once proud hull reduced to a shattered skeleton. But the victory felt hollow to Captain Elena Marquez as she sat in the command chair of the Eternal Fury. Her hands gripped the sleek controls tightly. The battle had been won, but Sentinel Prime's ominous warning still echoed in her mind. This is only the beginning. A message of vengeance. On board the Hope's beacon, the remaining crew scrambled to repair their battered ship. Ensign Harris patched through a transmission to the Eternal Fury. Captain Marquez, we've intercepted a transmission from the Empire flagship before it was destroyed. You'll want to hear this. Elena gestured for Sentinel Prime to play the recording. The holographic display shimmered to life, revealing the face of Commander Krell, bloody but defiant. His voice carried an icy resolve. You may have destroyed my fleet, humans, but you've only succeeded in sealing your fate. Even now, the full might of the Galactic Empire is mobilizing. You will burn for this defiance, and no relic of your past can save you. The message cut off, leaving a heavy silence. Elena leaned back, her mind racing. Sentinel, how long until their reinforcements arrive? Based on the trajectory and speed of standard Empire fleets, Sentinel Prime replied, we have approximately 20 hours before the next wave arrives. Elena frowned. And how many ships are we talking about? Enough to ensure total annihilation. Sentinel said grimly. Earth's secret awakens. We can't fight an entire armada alone, Elena said, pacing the command deck of the Eternal Fury. Is there nothing else we can do? Sentinel Prime's hologram flickered. There is a way, Captain, but it is unorthodox. Elena stopped in her tracks. Go on. Centuries ago, the Eternal Fury was not alone. Earth's defense initiative created a network of warships, each equipped with advanced AI and unparalleled firepower. After the First Galactic War, they were hidden across the planet and beyond, buried deep to ensure they would only awaken in humanity's darkest hour. Elena's eyes widened. Are you saying there are more ships like you? Yes, Sentinel confirmed. But they remain dormant. Their activation protocols require a human directive. Then let's wake them up, Elena said. Sentinel paused. The activation process is not without risks. These ships were designed for war. Their AI systems, while advanced, were left dormant for a reason. They are unpredictable. Humanity's leaders feared what might happen if they were ever turned against your own kind. Alina's voice hardened. If we don't activate them, there won't be a humanity left to protect. Sentinel nodded. Very well. I will initiate the activation sequence. A global awakening. Back on Earth, the skies over major cities darkened as massive energy surges erupted from hidden vaults. Citizens looked up in awe and terror as colossal structures rose from the ground, their engines roaring to life. From beneath deserts, oceans, and mountain ranges, ancient warships emerged, their hulls glowing with dormant power reignited. Each warship was unique. The Iron Resolve rose from beneath the Sahara Desert, its jagged design resembling a predatory beast. The Celestial Spear launched from the depths of the Pacific, its sleek frame designed for high-speed space combat. Across the globe, 20 warships emerged, each broadcasting the same message in unison. Awakened. Directive. Protect humanity. Alina and her crew watched in awe from the eternal fury as the fleet rendezvoused in orbit. This is incredible, Lai said, his voice trembling. It's like watching Earth's history come alive. History doesn't matter right now, Alina said. What matters is survival. The Empire's arrival. 20 hours passed in the blink of an eye. As the human fleet completed its final preparations, the Galactic Empire's reinforcements arrived. Hundreds of warships exited hyperspace in perfect formation, their dark hulls gleaming menacingly. On board the lead Empire dreadnought, Admiral Torvik, an imposing figure with reptilian features and a reputation for merciless efficiency, observed the human fleet through narrowed eyes. So, he hissed, the rumors were true. The humans have awakened their ancient monsters. No matter. Crush them all. The Empire fleet opened fire first, launching a storm of plasma and kinetic missiles. The human warships reacted with precision, their advanced shields absorbing the initial assault. Sentinel Prime's voice rang out across the fleet's communication network. Engage. The human warships responded with devastating power. The Iron Resolve unleashed a barrage of energy pulses that cut through enemy formations like a scythe. The Celestial Spear weaved through the chaos, its weapons targeting critical weak points on the enemy ships. The Eternal Fury led the charge, its gravitational pulse weapon creating temporary rifts that trapped and destroyed dozens of Empire ships. The hidden threat. Despite the humans' early success, the battle quickly turned dire. The Empire fleet adapted, coordinating their attacks to exploit the weaknesses in the ancient warships. Alina watched in horror as one of Earth's defenders, the Shadow Guardian, was overwhelmed and destroyed in a brilliant explosion. They're learning, Lai said, his voice filled with panic. Our tactics aren't enough. Alina's mind raced. Sentinel, is there any way to disrupt their coordination? Perhaps, Sentinel replied. If we can infiltrate their flagship and disable their command network, their fleet will descend into chaos. Alina nodded. Then we'll do it. Prepare a strike team. A desperate plan. As the battle raged on, Alina and a small team boarded a stealth shuttle, heading straight for the Empire flagship. The Eternal Fury provided cover, drawing enemy fire away from the shuttle. Inside the flagship, the team faced overwhelming odds. The corridors were filled with Empire soldiers, their armor gleaming under harsh fluorescent lights. Alina led her team through, using quick thinking and sheer determination to outmaneuver their foes. Finally, they'd reached the command core, a massive chamber glowing with alien technology. Sentinel Prime, integrated into their comms, guided Alina through the process of disabling the network. Quickly, Captain, Sentinel urged. The fleet cannot hold much longer. Alina's hands flew over the alien controls, her heart pounding as alarms blared around her. Just as enemy reinforcements burst into the chamber, she hit the final command. Outside, the Empire fleet faltered. Their coordinated formations broke apart as individual captains struggled to regain control. The human warships seized the opportunity, launching a counterattack that decimated the remaining enemy forces. Victory, but at what cost? The Empire flagship exploded behind them as Elena's shuttle returned to the Eternal Fury. The battle was over, but the cost was staggering. Several human warships had been destroyed, and countless lives were lost. On the bridge of the Eternal Fury, Elena sat silently, staring at the wreckage floating in space. "They'll come back," she said quietly. "This isn't over." "No," Sentinel Prime agreed. "But today, humanity proved that it will not go quietly." Elena's gaze hardened. "Then let's make sure we're ready for whatever comes next." The first counterstrike. The battlefield in orbit around Earth had finally fallen silent, littered with the remains of Empire warships and several of humanity's ancient defenders. The human fleet had won its first victory, but the cost weighed heavily on Captain Elena Marquez as she surveyed the destruction from the Eternal Fury's bridge. The loss of several ancient warships reminded her of Sentinel Prime's earlier words: "Victory is not enough if survival is temporary." Elena's thoughts were interrupted as Sentinel Prime's hologram flickered to life beside her. Its glowing blue eyes were steady. "Captain, the Galactic Empire will regroup. Their next assault will likely target not just Earth, but humanity's colonies and outposts. They seek to isolate and destroy your people." Elena turned, her expression sharp. "Then we don't give them the chance. It's time to take the fight to them." The bridge crew exchanged nervous glances. Humanity had spent centuries avoiding war with the Galactic Empire, but after the Empire's relentless attacks, Elena knew the time for caution had passed. A new strategy. Helena gathered her senior crew and Sentinel Prime in the strategy room of the Eternal Fury. A massive holographic map of the galaxy hovered over the table, displaying the Empire's known territories and supply lines. "We've been playing defense long enough," Elena began. "If we wait for their next move, they'll overwhelm us. But they're overconfident. That's their weakness." Lai leaned forward, studying the map. "They think we're scattered and weak. What if we hit one of their key supply hubs? Cut off their reinforcements?" Sentinel Prime nodded. "A bold move, but effective. There is a critical Empire supply station in the Arcturus sector. It serves as a nexus for their fleets in this quadrant. Disabling it would cripple their ability to launch another large-scale assault." Elena's gaze hardened. "Then that's our target." The human fleet unites. As the remaining human warships regrouped, Sentinel Prime sent out a call to humanity's scattered colonies. Ancient Earth warships hidden on Mars, Titan, and even the asteroid belt began to awaken, joining the growing fleet. Modern human ships, though smaller and less advanced, pledged their support as well. The combined fleet was an awe-inspiring sight, a mix of ancient and modern ships, their designs a testament to humanity's resilience. Crews from across the colonies reported for duty, united in a shared purpose: survival. On the bridge of the Eternal Fury, Elena addressed the fleet through a wideband transmission. "For too long, we've lived in fear of the Galactic Empire. Today, we show them that humanity will not bow. We fight not for conquest, but for our right to exist. Let's remind the galaxy why humanity was never meant to be underestimated." The Arcturus ambush. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, the stars stretching into brilliant streaks of light. When they emerged near the Arcturus supply station, the sight before them was both imposing and unnerving. The station was massive, surrounded by smaller defense platforms and a modest fleet of Empire ships. "Elena," Lai said, his voice uneasy, "their defenses are heavy, but this isn't an overwhelming force. Why leave a key station so lightly defended?" Elena frowned. "They think no one would dare attack them. Let's prove them wrong. Begin the assault." The fleet advanced, with the Eternal Fury leading the charge. Drones swarmed out of the human warships, targeting the station's outer defenses. Modern human ships used hit-and-run tactics, distracting the Empire fleet while the ancient warships unleashed devastating firepower. The station's shields flickered under the relentless assault. But just as victory seemed within reach, alarms blared across the eternal fury. Multiple hyperspace signatures detected. Lai shouted, "It's an ambush." Empire reinforcements emerged from hyperspace, their ships encircling the human fleet. Admiral Torvek's dreadnought led the charge, its massive cannons already firing. A fight against the odds. Chaos erupted. The human fleet, outnumbered and surrounded, scrambled to hold the line. Empire ships targeted the smaller, modern human vessels first, attempting to break the fleet apart. The iron resolve moved to shield them, taking heavy fire in the process. On the eternal fury, Alina clenched her fists. We walked into their trap. Sentinel, options. The station's core is highly unstable, Sentinel Prime replied. If we detonate it, the resulting explosion would destroy the Empire fleet, but it will also put our ships at risk. Alina hesitated. The gamble was enormous, but humanity couldn't afford to retreat. Do it. Coordinate with the fleet and pull back our ships as soon as possible. A desperate maneuver. The Eternal Fury and its allies focused their firepower on the station's core. As the shields failed, the station's structure began to collapse, its energy systems overloading. The human fleet started a tactical retreat, but the Empire ships pressed forward, determined to destroy as many human vessels as possible before the explosion. Core instability at critical levels, Sentinel Prime reported. Detonation in 90 seconds. Alina's voice was calm but firm. All ships, retreat to safe distance. Now. The human fleet disengaged, but several smaller ships were caught in the crossfire, their hulls breaking apart under the Empire's relentless assault. Inside the station, explosions rippled through the structure, the energy core glowing brighter with each passing moment. The turning point. At the last second, the Eternal Fury unleashed its gravitational pulse, creating a temporary distortion field that flung nearby Empire ships into disarray. The station's core detonated in a blinding explosion, a shockwave tearing through the Empire fleet. When the light faded, the battlefield was eerily quiet. The Empire's reinforcements had been annihilated, but the human fleet had suffered heavy losses. Alina stared at the wreckage, her heart heavy. "This isn't sustainable," she muttered. "We can't keep winning like this." Sentinel Prime's voice was steady. "Perhaps not. But today, humanity has taken its first step toward reclaiming its place in the galaxy. A fateful discovery." As the fleet regrouped, Sentinel Prime detected a faint signal emanating from the wreckage of the supply station. "Captain," it said, "there is something here you need to see." Alina ordered the Eternal Fury to investigate. Among the debris, they recovered an Empire data core, its encryption ancient but still functional. As the crew worked to decode it, Sentinel Prime's expression turned grim. "This data contains the coordinates of the Empire's central command, and something else." Alina leaned forward. "What is it?" "A project," Sentinel replied. "Something called Eclipse. If the data is accurate, it could change the balance of power in the galaxy." Alina's eyes narrowed. "Then we have no choice. We take the fight straight to their heart." Earth's last stand. The Eternal Fury drifted in the quiet aftermath of the battle over Arcturus. Though the human fleet had secured a hard-won victory, Captain Alina Marquez knew the fight was far from over. The Empire would not forgive such an affront, and the data core recovered from the supply station painted a grim picture of what was to come. On the Eternal Fury's bridge, Sentinel Prime displayed the decrypted information on a holographic map. The Empire's central command glowed red at the center of its vast network, but another mark drew everyone's attention. Eclipse. "It's a weapon," Sentinel Prime explained, its voice devoid of its usual confidence. "One designed to end wars by ensuring the complete annihilation of its enemies." Alina stared at the display, her jaw tightening. "How close are they to deploying it?" "The data suggests they're weeks away from activation," Sentinel said. But the Empire's next move will not wait that long. They're sending their largest fleet to Earth, determined to destroy humanity before we can retaliate. Alina turned to her crew. If they reach Earth with that weapon, it's over. We have to stop them, no matter the cost. A race against time. The human fleet, battered but resolute, jumped back to Earth's orbit. As they arrived, they found Earth's defenses in frantic motion. Colonies across the solar system had sent reinforcements, from small mining ships retrofitted with weapons to outdated orbital defense platforms, reactivated after centuries of dormancy. The ancient warships stationed on Earth, including the Eternal Fury's surviving siblings, began preparing for what would likely be their final battle. Across the globe, factories ramped up production of drones and ammunition, while civilians were evacuated to underground shelters. Inside the Eternal Fury, Sentinel Prime coordinated the growing defense effort. The Empire fleet will arrive in 24 hours, it announced. We have 1 day to prepare. Captain, I suggest we deploy the remaining ancient warships to critical choke points around Earth. Alina nodded. Do it. And contact Mars and Titan. We need every ship they can spare. The Empire arrives. 24 hours later, the Empire's fleet emerged from hyperspace in a terrifying display of power. Hundreds of warships filled the void, their massive engines glowing like stars. At their center was the Oblivion Hammer, a dreadnought nearly 3 times the size of the Eternal Fury. Its hull bristled with weapons, and its presence alone seemed to dwarf Earth's defenses. On the Oblivion Hammer's bridge, Admiral Torvik surveyed the human fleet with a sneer. So, they gathered all their toys in one place. How convenient. Begin the assault. The Empire fleet surged forward, their weapons lighting up the darkness. Earth's defenders responded in kind, their firepower coordinated by Sentinel Prime. The initial clash was deafening. Ships on both sides erupted into fiery debris as the battle raged. The hidden fleet. As the main fleets engage, a second wave of Empire ships jumped into the solar system. These reinforcements were heading directly for Earth's surface, intending to bypass the space battle entirely and strike the planet itself. On board the Eternal Fury, Sentinel Prime detected the maneuver. Captain, enemy ships are en route to Earth's surface. If they breach the atmosphere, the planet's infrastructure will be devastated. Alina's mind raced. What do we have left to stop them? Not much, Sentinel admitted. Unless what? Alina demanded. Sentinel hesitated for the first time. The final warship in Earth's arsenal, the Excalibur. It was deemed too powerful to be used in any battle, and has remained locked beneath Antarctica for centuries. But it could turn the tide. Alina frowned. Why hasn't it been activated? Because its AI system is unstable. It was designed to operate independently, but it developed a flaw. Its logic prioritizes victory above all else, even if it means sacrificing its allies. Alina's jaw tightened. We don't have a choice. Activate it. The Excalibur awakens. Beneath Antarctica's icy surface, massive fissures formed as the Excalibur broke free from its frozen tomb. The largest of all the ancient warships, it resembled a flying fortress. Its hull radiated a golden glow, and its weapons hummed with a power that seemed beyond human understanding. As it rose into orbit, the Excalibur broadcast a single message across all frequencies. Directive received. Target: enemy fleet. Objective: total annihilation. The Excalibur didn't wait for orders. It launched itself into the heart of the Empire's second wave, obliterating entire squadrons with a single volley. Its weapons were unlike anything seen before, bending space itself to crush enemy ships. On the Eternal Fury's bridge, Alina watched in awe and fear. It's unstoppable. Unstoppable, but unpredictable. Sentinel Prime reminded her. If we lose control of the Excalibur, it could turn on us as well. The turning point. The Excalibur's assault bought humanity precious time, but the main battle was far from over. The Oblivion Hammer had barely engaged, holding its position as the human fleet grew weaker. Alina realized the Empire's strategy: exhaust Earth's defenses, then finish them off with overwhelming force. "We have to take out the Oblivion Hammer," Alina said. "It's the key to their strategy." "But its defenses are impenetrable," Lai pointed out. "Nothing we have can get through." Sentinel Prime interjected. "Not from the outside. But if we can board the ship and disable its core, we might stand a chance." Alina's eyes narrowed. "Then that's what we'll do. Prepare a strike team." The final gamble. As the Excalibur continued its rampage, Alina and a small team launched a daring mission to infiltrate the Oblivion Hammer. Using the Eternal Fury's stealth capabilities, they approached the massive dreadnought undetected. Inside, the team faced overwhelming resistance. Empire soldiers poured into the corridors, their weapons blazing. Alina led the charge, her sharp instincts and quick thinking keeping the team alive. They fought their way to the core, a massive chamber glowing with unstable energy. Sentinel Prime guided them remotely. "You must disable the core, but be warned. Doing so will trigger a chain reaction. You'll have minutes to escape." Alina nodded, her voice firm. "Understood. We didn't come this far to fail." The team planted explosives around the core, fighting off waves of soldiers as the timer counted down. With seconds to spare, they escaped back to their shuttle, racing away as the Oblivion Hammer erupted in a brilliant explosion. The aftermath. The destruction of the Oblivion Hammer shattered the Empire fleet's morale. With their flagship gone, the remaining ships began to retreat. The Excalibur, now without enemies to fight, powered down and returned to its icy resting place. On board the Eternal Fury, Alina slumped into her chair, exhaustion washing over her. The battle had been won, but the cost had been staggering. Earth's defenders were decimated, and countless lives had been lost. "This isn't the end," she said quietly. "The Empire will come back." Sentinel Prime's voice was steady. "Perhaps, but today, humanity has shown the galaxy that it will not bow. You have given your people something they have not had in centuries." Alina looked up. "What's that?" "Hope. Humanity's fury." The galaxy stood in stunned silence. News of Earth's unexpected victory had spread far and wide, shaking the foundation of the Galactic Empire's seemingly unshakable dominance. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy whispered of a rebellion, of an ancient force that had awakened, and of a species that refused to be extinguished. But on Earth, victory felt hollow. The human fleet was a shadow of its former self, and countless lives had been lost. Captain Alina Marquez sat in the war room of the Eternal Fury. Her crew and Sentinel Prime gathered around a holographic map of the galaxy. "The Empire will not stop," she began. "They'll regroup, rebuild, and come back stronger. If we wait for them to strike again, it's over. We have to hit them first, hard enough that they'll never recover." The room was silent. It was a plan that bordered on madness, to take the fight directly to the Galactic Empire's heart. But the spark of determination in Alina's eyes was contagious. One by one, her crew nodded. The path to Eclipse. The recovered data core revealed the location of the Empire's most closely guarded secret, the Eclipse Project. This was the weapon designed to secure the Empire's total domination, and it was nearing completion on a fortified moon orbiting a dying star. "If we destroy Eclipse before it's fully operational," Sentinel Prime explained, "the balance of power will shift in our favor. But the facility is heavily defended. We'll face resistance unlike anything we've encountered before." Alina's voice was steady. "Then we'll fight like we've never fought before." The human fleet, now bolstered by reinforcements from surviving colonies, prepared for the most ambitious mission in humanity's history. Every ship was armed to the teeth, and every crew member knew the stakes. If they failed, there would be no second chance. The infiltration begins. The human fleet arrived at the edge of the dying star's gravity well. The Empire's defenses were even more formidable than anticipated. A massive orbital shield enveloped the moon, powered by reactors buried deep within the lunar surface. Dozens of Empire warships patrolled the area, their formations tight and impenetrable. "This isn't just a facility," Lai muttered. "It's a fortress." Alina didn't flinch. "Sentinel, is there a way through that shield?" "There is," Sentinel replied. "The shield generators are vulnerable to precision strikes, but the Empire's fleet will target any ship that approaches." Alina's lips tightened. "We'll create a distraction. While our fleet engages their defenses, a strike team will infiltrate the moon and disable the generators." "Let me guess," Lai said nervously. "You're leading the strike team." "You bet I am," Alina replied. The decoy. The battle began with a ferocity that shook the heavens. The human fleet launched a full-scale assault, drawing the Empire's attention away from the moon. The Eternal Fury led the charge, its weapons blazing as it tore through enemy formations. Sentinel Prime coordinated the chaos, guiding human ships with an eerie precision that matched the Empire's disciplined tactics. But for every Empire warship destroyed, another seemed to take its place. The battle was brutal, and losses mounted on both sides. Meanwhile, Alina and her strike team slipped through the chaos in a stealth shuttle, weaving between the wreckage of destroyed ships. As they descended toward the moon, the scale of the Eclipse facility became clear. Its towering spires bristled with weapons, and its surface pulsed with the glow of energy conduits feeding the superweapon. Into the heart of the beast, the strike team landed near one of the shield generators, their shuttle cloaked by Sentinel's interference systems. The group moved swiftly, avoiding patrols as they planted explosives around the generator. The Empire's soldiers, however, were relentless. The team encountered heavy resistance, forcing them into desperate firefights in the narrow corridors of the facility. Alina's sharp instincts and quick thinking kept them alive, but the cost was high. One by one, her team fell, buying precious time for the mission to succeed. When the final charge was set, Alina activated her comms. "Sentinel, the first generator is down. Detonate." A massive explosion lit up the moon's surface, and a section of the orbital shield flickered and collapsed. The human fleet seized the opportunity, pouring their firepower into the breach. The face of desperation. As the battle raged, Admiral Torvik watched from the bridge of his command ship. His fury was palpable. "They're tearing through our defenses. Deploy the Eclipse prototype now." "But sir," a subordinate stammered, "it's not ready." "I don't care," Torvik roared. "Activate it." On the moon's surface, Alina and her remaining crew reached the core of the facility. The Eclipse weapon itself. It was an enormous cannon, its barrel aimed at the stars. The weapon began to hum with power, drawing energy from the dying star it orbited. If fired, it would obliterate the human fleet in one shot. Alina's heart pounded. "We're out of time. Sentinel, can we shut this thing down remotely?" "Negative," Sentinel replied. "You'll need to overload the reactor manually." Alina stared at the reactor's controls. She knew what it meant. There was no way to activate the overload and escape in time. The final sacrifice. "Alina, don't." Lai's voice crackled over the comms. He was aboard the Eternal Fury, watching the battle unfold. "There has to be another way." "There isn't," Alina said softly. "If this thing fires, it's over." She activated the reactor's overload sequence. Alarms blared as the facility shook violently. The Empire soldiers guarding the core scattered, panic spreading through their ranks. "Alina." Lei's voice broke, but she cut the channel. "Sentinel, get the fleet out of here," she ordered. "Now." Humanity's fury. The human fleet retreated as the moon erupted in a cataclysmic explosion. The dying star's gravity amplified the blast, creating a shockwave that consumed the Empire's remaining fleet. On Earth, people watched the transmission in silence. When the light faded, the sky was clear. The Empire's forces were gone, and humanity was victorious. But on the Eternal Fury, Lai sat silently, staring at the empty chair where Alina once commanded. The legacy of humanity. Weeks later, a memorial was held for those lost in the battle. Sentinel Prime addressed the United Galactic Council, holding the destroyed Eclipse Project's data as proof of the Empire's crimes. For too long, humanity has been underestimated, it said. We do not seek conquest, but survival. If the Galactic Empire or any other power threatens that again, humanity will respond, not with fear, but with fury. The Council fell silent. Across the galaxy, whispers began of an alliance forming, led by humanity. And in the heart of the eternal fury, Sentinel Prime spoke softly to itself. Rest, Captain Marquez. Your sacrifice has given humanity a